Has hell always existed? Questions about hell, about human destiny, about future judgment, they all intrigue as well as bother us. Some probably would want to ask a different question in this regard. Is hell a real place? Does hell really exist? Or maybe, of most importance, how long will hell exist or last? All these questions are in one sense tied together. But this week we want to answer a question regarding the nature of hell's past creation and existence. How long has hell existed? Friends, welcome to Bible Words. I'm Pastor Dave, your host. And thanks for tuning in as we answer this very powerful question about God's plan and purpose in judgment. There is a good question to consider here because Jesus talked, and during his earthly ministry, he actually spoke more about hell than he did about heaven. If you can believe it, it's true. Toward the end of his time on earth, in fact, Jesus' followers became more and more interested in the future messianic kingdom that the Old Testament prophets said the coming Messiah, Jesus, would establish. So as Jesus spoke to that growing interest in Matthew 25, Jesus talked about the last days of our current age of time and space. And he says this, "But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them from one another as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he'll put the sheep on his right and the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.'" Now, notice when God created the universe during the same time frame Jesus said from the foundation of the world, he also prepared a future kingdom of blessing for the saints of the ages. In other words, at the same time God created mankind, he also planned for and established their eternal home or eternal dwelling place. Now, this is important to note in our discussion about hell's existence. Why? Well, later in the Bible, we know that this kingdom, this realm of existence for the saints as heaven, that's what it's called, the third heaven, the place where God manifests his glorious presence and in which the saints will live forever. Well, the book of Revelation, in fact, describes it as a massive city called New Jerusalem. It exists, but was evidently completed after Jesus' resurrection. At least that is what Jesus said or implied about it during the Last Supper with his disciples in John 14. He said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house are many dwelling places." Present tense verb. It existed right then as he spoke. And he goes on to say, "If it were not so, I would have told you, for I go to prepare future a place for you." So is Jesus adding rooms or simply adding New Testament saints' names to the existing rooms? Well, I don't know. But if he says, "If I go and prepare a place for you, I'll come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also." Notice the timing of the logic for God's establishing heaven is important for us to answer this question about hell's existence. See, God, though limitless in power, is very specific in purpose. He doesn't waste energy. He established our heavenly kingdom during the same time as he created the need for such a place. During the same time, he created mankind. Why is that important to note? Well, in Matthew 25, after speaking about the reward of the saints, their kingdom, he also speaks of the judgment of the wicked, and he gives us insight as to hell's origin in Matthew 20 there. He says, "Then he will also say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire which has been prepared for the devil and his angels.'" Like the heavenly kingdom, hell already existed, and we can assume it was also established from the foundation of the world. I mean, that is when the need for such a place arose. See, what was that need? Well, it had nothing to do with humankind. It was established, hell was established to imprison the angels that had rebelled against God, choosing to follow the devil rather than their creator. So when was hell created? Well, the exact timing is unknown, obviously, but we can assume it was before the fall of man in Genesis 3. Why? Because Jesus said its original purpose was to contain fallen angels. Jesus did not include fallen mankind because man had not yet rebelled against God at that point. At that point in created time, mankind's only destiny was a heavenly kingdom that Jesus just spoke of. Unfortunately for mankind, that that changed after our fall into rebellion, but that's a different lesson. Right now, we ask the question, has hell always existed? No. It's not much older than our creation, and we can understand that from what Jesus said. Well, friends, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, share Bible words with your friends, and send me your questions. See you next week.